Hey guys, how's it going? A little small engine project, I guess we're going to call it. This was a friend of mine. I'm going to do a little backstory. A friend of mine has a high-end bike shop in town, and he gets kind of on top of the racing bikes that he makes. He also gets acquired, commissioned. That's the word I'm looking for, to do different projects. And he was doing a bunch of electric bike stuff. I was talking to him about some of that, and then he grabbed from the back room a little gas engine project that he had mocked up together for somebody that I think they were going to try setting up an engine on a skateboard or something like that. So the guy got him the engine and told him to set it up on a wheel, which he did, which you can kind of see here. And when the guy saw it, the scale of it was much larger than he expected. Now the guy bought the engine, not him, so it was all on him. So he paid him and said, you know, you're welcome to keep that. I'm not going to be able to use that. So it had a rest of a bicycle frame that was up in here with a regular bike front wheel, and they would run it around the shop to the point where they almost killed themselves. You can see how much of the back tire is burned off, so it's had some usage to it. But they were done. He cut it up before somebody killed himself, and it was laying in the back. He said, you want it? You could have it. So I think maybe we'll take some time. We'll pop this up on the bench. We'll stick it in the vise, get into it, and see if we can get it to run, see what we have here. Well, I figured before we start taking the see if we have spark and everything. There's only one screw holding this cover on, I think. Let's go see what it's got underneath here for a little transmission setup. Quite sure what's holding that. Be nice, it's got a little CVT setup in there. That's what I'm hoping for. As soon as you figure out what's holding it together, let's get a pry bar. Let's see if a little tappy will do it. Looks like it uses the case to support one side of the bearing. There we go. Alright, it is. Maybe not. Does that look like it's a... Maybe not. Got my hopes up. Feels like the back one changed size. I don't see a split in the front one, that's why I say that. Yeah, that back one changes. It might be just a torque, clutch. That's what I'm thinking. Yeah. I'm not sure because it tightens the belt up there. It's got a clutch in the front. Centrifugal clutch. I'll show you guys what I'm talking about. I'm kind of questioning it. Normally, you'll see a brake down inside there, and I don't see one. So, you know, while this one gets smaller, that one should get larger. I don't see any room for that to do so. And we'll get into that a little bit later. Let's see. It feels really gooey, kind of trying to turn it over. Got a lot of drag on it. Let me spin it around. Maybe take the plug out of it. Yeah, the engine has a lot of resistance. Let's give her a little bit of a shot of something. What do we got? Give her a shot of PB. See if that'll hopefully just like varnishy kind of varnishy kind of crap on the sides of it. Yeah, there we go. Let's see, maybe we'll get a drill. We'll hook a drill up to this nut. Hopefully it's got reverse threads on it. And we'll start to spin it with a drill, see if we can get it to spin much freer. Let's see if we can. That's the wrong way. I want this guy to spin that way. Yeah. See the steam coming out. I say we throw that plug on there. See if we have spark. See a wire hanging off the end of the coil, but that should just have to get grounded to shut it off, I would think. Let's go see. Very good. We have spark. That's a good feeling. I would say we probably have to pull that carbo apart though. Judging by how varnishy the jug was, I would think it probably had fuel in it. But let's pop that bowl down on the carb and see what kind of prizes are in there. Two screws on that. I'm gonna guess it's 49 cc's. A little rough to get to, huh? And I don't think it would have pull start on it. I think it's you engage it to the back wheel and that's what gets it spinning. Not terribly dirty, but it is sticky. Everything has got that same kind of gumminess to it. Got like tar on it. Let me give that a good wash. We'll take that apart. We'll go clean that. Let's go pull that guy the rest of the way apart. Fortunately, it's not real dirty. Again, it's just very gummy. Let me describe it. I think the fuel kind of evaporates away and the two-stroke oil stays behind. What do you think we're going to get for a filter? Piece of screen. Yeah, you can see through it. Just a choke. So we could tap that pin out of there. Dexterity challenge. Yes, I would. Normally stick it in the vise, but I'm trying to make a video. There you go. Okay, remember the curve. It's only going to be going one way. It's a long needle in that thing. And we got one more jet to get out of there. Actually, we got these two guys. I'm not sure what's inside there. I would think not much of anything. Maybe just a chamber. Should have preheated the just open chamber. We get the jet out of there. Can we get the gasket out without ripping it? Or should we leave well enough alone? We're going to leave it alone. Alright, let's get the air fuel mix out of there. And let's get where does it hit? A lot of resistance. Shouldn't really fight that much after you crack it loose. Big crap on the end of it. Bath time. I think this is a better quality engine because down on the intake, I don't know if you guys can see or not, it's got reed valves inside there compared to the normally the intake kind of goes in the side of the cylinder and the ports kind of open and close on the side of the piston. Instead, this goes right to the crankcase and just has little valves that kind of open up, let it draw in, and then shut itself off. I think while the carb's in the ultrasonic cleaner, maybe we can dribble a little bit of fuel in there, see if we can drill start it. See if we can maybe cough over for us. It's just 2-stroke gas. Premix. Let's just give that a little bit of that. A little too much. See if the drill will have enough snot to get it to go. Well, if the drill's not tight, right? Murphy's Law. Take 2. I just spun the nut right off. Let's see if we... It would help we spin the drill the right direction. Bit where we're trying to go. I would say it's flooded. Maybe a little too much. Yeah. Overkill. So time to charm. Sorry about that, I hit you. See how foggy it is, get the plug out of the way. That looked terrible. You're just gonna fight me every inch of the way, aren't you? Can't fool me. I think it's going to go without the carb. So I found something very odd. Unfortunately, I didn't catch it on camera. I just kept moving forward. If I spun the motor backwards, it had spark. If I spun the motor forward, it did not have spark. Never have kind of seen it in that kind of fashion. So I popped the coil off and I looked at it. It looked like it had some rub marks where it was touching on the flywheel. I wonder if one way it was kind of rubbing on and one way not, and even if that would make an effect or not. But now I put it back together and I just pulled the coil as far away as possible. Now it has spark again. So I do find that a tad weird, but explain why it wasn't wanting to kick over. Okay, I may have put that coil back in upside down. You guys remember which way this was sticking out a minute ago? Who cares as long as it runs, right? Or possibly somebody took it off of there and put it on backwards. I don't know. See what we get. Actually, is that the right direction? We're going that way. That's wrong. We want to go that way. Because now we're on the other side. We're not going to be able to do that. Okay. As far as I understand, this is the back tire, which would make sense. So if the back tire is rolling forward, the engine has to spin that direction, right? So if I spin the engine in that direction, you don't have spark. If I spin the engine the other direction, it has spark. Problem is, it doesn't have spark in the direction that we need it to spin. It's not doing anything. Let's try taking the coil off, see if we can possibly flip that coil over and see if we get spark going in the right direction. Either that, I'm just missing something. Alright, so what was happening is, I don't know if this engine's kind of designed to run either direction. Two strokes really can. But when I was trying to run it, when I first checked for spark, I just spun it the normal direction you would on a normal motor. And it had spark, but then when I went to go figure out how the drivetrain works and which way this wheel had to turn this tire in the forward direction, you had to spin it backwards. When you spun it backwards, it didn't have any spark. I finally figured that out. Took the coil, flipped it over, and then it has spark in one direction going the direction we're looking for, and then now not spark. So it probably has a diode that's on the inside of those and allows it to do that in one direction. So we got that figured out. The problem was it kept spinning the nuts off because now I'm trying to spin the engine in the opposite direction of a normal spin. So I ended up trying to spin it through the jack shaft that was on it and then through the clutch, and then it worked. So we got it figured out so that the engine will work. And if we want to use it in a different application, maybe forward or reverse, all we have to do is maybe spin that guy over. It all depends on what we use for the bike. But that is getting ahead of ourselves. Let's get that carburetor back together and see if we can get the run on the carb and go from there. I didn't bother putting the air cleaner back on it, but I got the throttle hooked back up to it, so we got a little throttle action happening, and then the fuel bottle up top kind of feeding down into there so we can baby a little bit of fuel. One thing I'm concerned about is, again, the way this system works is it had a shock. Where is it? Right there. It had a shock set up on the frame with a lever, and what you would do is you would index this thing down, and it would, when the motor would make contact with the wheel you were riding, that's how it would start the system up. And, you know, back feed through the clutch to get it to spin. So normally this would go down and that tire would spin real fast, overcome the clutch and get that motor to spin. We are going to try doing it with a socket. I don't know which way the thread is on that, whether that's going to try and back off on us or not, We're going to find out. And I have the muffler off, and the reason why the muffler is off is because it is in the way of that, so it's going to be loud. But I think we're close enough where we should be able to get it to run on the carburetor and do a little bit better assessment of what kind of toy thing we have here. What do you think? Just try it with no choke first? I want to go that way, backwards. Easy. I want to see if I can get that. I want to see if that'll idle without that trying to drive the wheel. I didn't catch that. I just turned it up a little bit, see what we get. Got it. One last thing I want to check on. I want to try it one more time. I want to watch these belts to see if this works as a CVT or not. I didn't get to see that. Throttle. It didn't look like it did it. Maybe this pulley back here is just to keep proper tension on the belt, so I can kind of squeeze it in. Now it's sloppy, so maybe that's the adjuster for the belt. I think that's what it is. Runs good though. My ears are ringing. I took a minute, just threw the parts back on there. I'm happy with what we got. It looks like a decent little setup. The carb seems like it's a good quality. I'm trying to think kind of thinking it's like a Japanese motor, not a Chinese one. It seems like it's a little better setup, but I couldn't find any markings on it anywhere to denote what it is. But I'd say that would make for a good bike engine to install on something. And what I got visioned in my head is a very small bike where that looks like it's a full-size engine on it, you know, so we'll scale the bike frame and tires, like 12-inch tires I'm thinking, to the size of the engine, so that it just looks like a very shrunk down motorcycle or mini bike. That's where we are right now. We'll see where it actually goes. But we had some fun. We know it runs. It'll do what it needs to do, kind of run either direction. The fins are kind of a giveaway too. Usually if it's directional, they'll curve the fins one way or the other for the way it was designed to run, so it would help process more air, draw more air and kick out. And that's the other thing that's missing, is this cover. The fan shroud is missing, so we need something to either find one or make one up where it blows the air across the fins of the motor. It's going to overheat, but it's got a reed valve in it, which is a nice feature. It's a little bit better quality than those little Chinese ones that you buy. If anybody can ID this, speak up please, and maybe I can hunt on eBay for the actual cover that goes on it instead of trying to make one. But I don't think it'd be all that big of a deal. The other thing I see is that bushing, the pivot bushing down there. It's like a little isolator, but it looks like it's kind of beat. I like it. I think it'll make a cool little motor. I'm not sure what cc's it is neither. I'm gonna guess it's probably the 49 cc setup, but again, don't know either. So with that, guys, thanks all for kind of hanging out with me and having a little bit of fun and playing with free junk. Till then, I'll see you next time.